Hi folks, we're still here up in Scotland. We're at the National Museum of Flight today and we're going to take a look around at some of the aircraft they have on display. Let's get inside out of the rain and have a look around. So the National Museum of Flight is situated about 20 miles from the east of Edinburgh, and you can get there if you're driving from Edinburgh via the A1, or if like us you can stay in that lovely cottage in Portseaton. Now I'll pop a link for the website for the National Museum of Flight in the description below, but as you can see you've got the admission details on there, the contact information and the opening hours as well. You can also select plan your visit, where you can see accessibility and the map and any food and drink. If you click on what's on, you've got a list of all the events going on at the current time at the National Museum of Flight, and then you can click on the see and do, and you can see all the different hangars and what there is available there. You can also click book tickets and book them online, where it is £1 cheaper. As you can see from the prices, if you're a member you get in for free, or if you're a child under the age of 5 or a carer. For everyone else it's £1 cheaper if you book it in advance. Looking at the museum's map, you can see it is spread out over the old East Fortune airfield, so it does require a little bit of walking around, but all the paths are tarmac, and if you're in a wheelchair you'll have no problem navigating it. We parked just opposite the BAC 111 and decided to start our journey around the National Flight Museum with the BAC 111. So the BAC 111, it was the first British-built jet airliner to enter commercial service, signifying a major advancement in the nation's aviation industry. As you'll notice, the BAC 111 does have its engines mounted at the rear of the plane, and this was unusual for its time as there weren't too many other aircraft out there which actually did this, but what it meant was that it significantly reduced cabin noise from the engines. The capacity of the BAC 111 was between 79 and 119 passengers depending on variants, and could fly up to a range of 4,074 kilometres with a cruising speed of 520 miles an hour. It had two Rolls-Royce Spey turbofan engines on the back, and about 240 of the aircraft were built in total. As you can see, you can enter from the rear of the aircraft, which is highly unusual these days. And at the museum here, it is a one-way system, so you enter from the rear and you leave from the front. You'll notice the configuration is a 2 and 3, and the overhead bins are considerably smaller than what you'd see on aircraft today. While on board all the aircrafts here at the National Flight Museum, there are information panels at the top, so you can stop and have a read as you go through. It's really intriguing to look back and see what aircrafts were like in the 70s, in the 80s, even in the 90s, depending on what year you were born and when you actually began flying. So, as I said, the National Flight Museum is based here at RAF East Fortune, which was originally established in 1915, primarily served as an airship station during World War I and played a crucial role in coastal defence against German Zeppelin attacks. Next stop on our tour of the Flight Museum is the de Havilland Comet, which is, as many of you probably know, a pioneering British jet. Comet was the world's first commercial jet airliner to enter service, making a significant leap forward in aviation technology. It incorporated several innovative features, including a pressurised cabin, swept wings, and a clean aerodynamic design, setting new standards for passenger comfort and speed. as you'll see as we enter the aircraft, the door on it was extremely small, and you can just imagine what it might have been like getting on one of these at holidaymaker and having to duck to get in. Up front you'd had the pilot, the co-pilot and an engineer in there as well. As you can see, the cabin is set out in a 2 and 3 configuration, with no overhead bins, but almost like you would find on a coach, places to pop your luggage in the racks above. The windows are a reasonable size and quite big compared to modern standards, although if you're familiar with the Comet's legacy, unfortunately you will know that there was a series of tragic accidents in the mid-1950s attributed to metal fatigue issues around the aircraft's square windows, which initially they did start off with. The Comet ushered in the jet age and revolutionised air travel with its unprecedented speed and efficiency. Despite all the setbacks, the Comet's legacy remains significant, paving the way for the development of modern jet airliners and influencing aircraft design for generations to come. As you can see, toilets have and haven't come a long way in aviation history. Looks fairly similar to what you'd find today, if just a bit smaller and less modern. Next up on the tour is the iconic Vulcan bomber aircraft. So the Vulcan bomber, or also the Avro Vulcan, was a British jet-powered strategic bomber that served the Royal Air Force from 1956 to 1984. The Vulcan was most famous for its distinctive delta wing design, which gave it excellent high altitude performance and made it one of the most recognisable aircraft in aviation history. The Avro Vulcan stands as a testament to British engineering and a symbol of the Cold War era. Its distinctive design, impressive capabilities and enduring popularity ensures its place in aviation history. One of the great things here at the museum is that you can actually walk all around it and under the bomber itself and get a really close-up look of what it was like. Next up on the National Flight Museum tour will be the fantastic flight. Now, dotted around the area you do have buildings that you can go in, which feature exhibitions and also experiments that you can do. This one in particular is fantastic. Even if you don't have children and you go there as an adult yourself, it is great to use some of the to do some of the games and experiments that we'll see in the next room. First off though, we just take a look at this Napier Nomad engine here, which incredibly was more fuel efficient than even some of the engines that are produced today. Inside the building, you do learn how aircraft fly. You have a lot of different experiments that you can do to see the different forces that air pressure creates, and also test out about lift and drag and anything that goes into aircraft engineering and the way aircraft fly. It does actually make it really hands-on and really quite enjoyable, not only for kids but also for adults as well. You learn something as you go, and it's great to get hands-on with it. Walking on to different rooms, you can find out how aircraft are built here. You can also have a go at making your own paper aeroplanes and seeing how different designs determine how the plane flies. There is a few interactive challenges. There is a blimp one there where you can try and land the blimp. Unfortunately, I did crash it, but I did have more luck later on with the flight simulator game that they do also have in there. There are tests to do to test your reactions. There is a G-force machine here that you can hold on to. And all in all, it does make for actually a really good day to just come down and just try out, go on all of these little experiments, games and activities. And like I said, you do learn something, and it is a fantastic day out. So that is the flight simulator game just on your left there. And I did land the plane on the hardest mode possible, which I am still very proud of to this day. Moving on, we made our way to the military aircraft aviation hangar. As you can see, there's always a little fact card outside all of these, which you can read and get an understanding as to what you're about to go in and see. Within the military aircraft hangar, you do go through decades of flight, starting with the early era of military aircraft and moving all the way up to modern day times. There are German and other national aircrafts within there. Most of it is British, and you do see some of the iconic Lightning, Jaguar, Harrier jets that have been produced over the years. Each jet does have a plaque with it that tells you all about the jet, its pioneering features, and for any missions or wars that it was used in. As you can see, for an aviation enthusiast, it does actually make for a fantastic day out, as you can get up close to all these jets and read about them as well as you go. There's also a section that shows you how military uniform has changed over the years as well, and flying instruments and radars. Moving on, we head to the civil aviation sector next. As always, there is a plaque outside that gives you a bit of information about it, and inside it's more of your smaller civil aviation aircrafts, which is fantastic to look round. As with all the expositions here, you really learn something as you go. There's plaques in front of all of them, and it's fantastic seeing some of the old planes and just realising what aviation used to be like. From here we moved on to the Fortunes of War exhibition, and this just talks you through aviation within the First World War, different stories from engineers and pilots are in there, as well as memorabilia from those times. It does actually make for a really interesting read about what the pilots went through, what the ground crews went through as well, and it is a fantastic little addition to the museum. You can see some of the personal items that the crews would have worn, or notes they would have kept. And there is a little interactive section that plays a video speaking about the First World War and how East Fortune played a pivotal role in that. Last but by no means least, we move on to the Concorde and the Jet Age experience. As you come into the hangar, there is a full-size Concorde in there which you can go in, and we will do shortly. But firstly, just around the base of it, you have got a full history of the Concorde jet, dating back to its design, how it was made, and everything about the Concorde itself. Around the Concorde, you have got cutouts of jet engines as well as you go past. There is also a BOAC 707 cutout as well, which you can go on board, and we will do shortly. There's a few other aircraft dotted around as well, like a red Aerojet, which you can get close to and take a look inside. But the star of the show is the Concorde itself, and you can walk all the way around it, walk under it, get close to the wheels, the old jet engines on there, and actually see the aircraft up close and personal. Entry to the Concorde is included in the price of the ticket to get into the museum. All you have to do is head up the steps. Once again, it is a one-way system, so you head up the steps at the back here, and then you can get on board. There is a free audio tour that you can do. I opted against it, but inside you can see a layout of what it was like. This bit is glassed off, but you can then walk through the rest of the cabin yourself and just see how small those windows were, what the seats were like, how much legroom you had, and what it would have been like to fly on there. Next up, we did head to the BOAC 707, and it was really interesting. Inside you've got all these facts laid out about the aircraft, and BOAC as well, and you can take a look around and just see what the cockpit was like at the time as well, and also see what the uniform and the galley and everything was like. All in all, it was actually really interesting to find out about stuff from a different age of jet travel. Hi folks, so that was the National Museum of Flight. I hope you enjoyed it. Honestly, if you're in the area and you want a day out, just come here. It is fantastic. It's £13.50 if you book online, but it's £14.50 if you turn up on the gate and pay. Absolutely fantastic for the money, I would say, and you get to look around some old aircraft, go in the hangars and see some different things from military to civilian aircraft. So definitely worth a visit and that. And if anything, you get to see Concorde as well. I hope you liked the video, folks. As always, please subscribe to the channel. It's free for you to do. Please drop a like as well, and please feel free to comment. Maybe you've been here and loved it as well. Maybe you're planning a trip to the area and you want to come down too. And that's it, folks. We'll see you on the next one, so happy travels.